This is a Samsung Galaxy A53 and here is the Redmi Note 11 Pro. So in this video, I'll help you decide on which of these two smartphones you should pick if you're in the market for any of these. And so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. First off, in this comparison, I have the 8 gigs of RAM variant for the Redmi Note 11 Pro with supposedly additional virtual RAM of 3 gigs. And I got this smartphone here for 170,000 Naira, around $320, making it 11 gigs in total for the memory. And also the Samsung Galaxy A53 here comes in at 220,000 Naira or $430 for the 6 gigs of RAM and the RAM Plus support of 4 gigs, making it about 10 gigs of RAM when the need arises. These two smartphones are actually huge devices and something I would consider quite big for one-handed use. Now they are really similar in size, but the A53 here from Samsung has the slightly smaller form factor, making it more easy to use than what you get with the Redmi Note 11 Pro. As far as the ports and I/O go, I would give it to the Redmi Note 11 Pro. You have this audio jack here retained, you get the IR blaster to control your electronics, there's a better sounding stereo speaker configuration on here, and also the faster and more trusty fingerprint scanner which doubles as the power button comes with this smartphone. Unlike the in-display fingerprint scanner on the A53, which isn't as fast and accurate as what you get from the Redmi Note 11 Pro. From the box, you already get more value from the Redmi Note 11 Pro. You get a super fast 67-watt charger and a TPU case from the Redmi Note 11 Pro. But the A53 5G has no TPU case, nor does it come out of the box with a charger. You only get a USB-C to C cable, and that's about it. There are a lot of aspects that make the Redmi Note 11 Pro the better device in terms of the build quality, and I mean this list goes on. You get a glass rear for the Redmi Note 11 Pro, unlike the plastic you get from the Sami. The only thing that comes in favor of the A53 when you consider the build would be the IP rating, which is IP67, and this is better in terms of the water resistance or being submerged in water than the IP53 rating for the dust and splash resistance you get from the Redmi Note 11 Pro. So for build quality and design and accessories, the Redmi Note 11 Pro actually does hold it on lockdown, and that's for over $100 difference in price. Better value in terms of build quality actually. I mentioned haptics when I compared the Redmi Note 11 Pro against the A52, so why not in this video? I still prefer how the vibration motor on the Samsung Galaxy A53 buzzes, giving you this less punch haptics. Those are actually vibrations instead of the knock and punch you get from the Redmi Note 11 Pro. Now, I'm not saying this doesn't give you good punch or kicks for the haptics. A lot of people really love this one, and I think it's just a matter of personal preference in this category. In terms of the audio quality, both have the stereo or dual speaker configuration, the bottom and top firing speakers for both of them. Samsung uses the earpiece as the top firing speaker or the secondary speaker, while the Note 11 Pro has a dedicated speaker for both the top and the bottom here. The Redmi also has a slightly louder and better sounding audio configuration in this comparison, so it wins here yet again. Moving over to displays, you get a Super AMOLED panel which is 6.67 inch in size for the Redmi Note 11 Pro with a resolution at Full HD+, which is the same resolution as you get from the Galaxy A53, sporting a 6.5 inch also Super AMOLED display. As far as similarities, you get 120 Hz refresh rate on both of these devices. Both are being protected using Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection, and like I mentioned, both are 1080 by 2400 pixels in terms of the resolution, pretty much the same resolution. But as far as who does this thing better, I'd say the Redmi is quite better. This display on here is noticeably brighter outdoors from my test, and the colors here, just like in my comparison with the A52, is still better. So the better display yet again goes to the Redmi Note 11 Pro. You get Android 12 on the Samsung and Android 11 on Redmi, MIUI 13 for Redmi and One UI 4.1 on Samsung. You should expect about 4 years of software update on these devices, so that shouldn't be an issue for anyone. But as far as software, I love the cleaner looking One UI, but again, this is going to be a subjective category. Another reviewer might prefer MIUI, and I'd say it's just a matter of personal preference yet again. As far as performance, first off, both are wonderful performing mid-rangers, but obviously the A53 here is the better performer. You have more efficient processor, it has better GPU for gaming, better processor and better battery efficiency, all thanks to the Exynos 1280 processor on here. While the Redmi Note 11 Pro here has the Helio G96 processor, which is quite decent but not as powerful as the Exynos 5nm chipset. The benchmark scores here below can give you an idea of what to expect. As far as gaming, I played PUBG extensively on these devices and you have about the same experience. Now the cameras, the Redmi Note 11 Pro gives you a 108 megapixel main sensor, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. While the A53 here gives you a 64 megapixel main lens, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel depth sensor, and a 5 megapixel macro lens. Selfie cameras are 16 megapixels for the Redmi and 32 for the Samsung. For the main camera sensors on these smartphones, I was actually wowed when I pulled up the photos side by side on my PC. Redmi did perform magic with this one on here, as the photos are really similar in terms of what you get. I'm not going to tell you that there weren't instances where the A53 had a slight edge over the Note 11 Pro. Like in terms when Redmi would smudge a small variation of colors to look the same, I could see the A53 had these colors differentiated. But as far as dynamic range and color reproduction, it was almost always matching the A53. And in few instances, very few though, I prefer the white balance from the Redmi Note 11 Pro. The edge here in terms of the main camera is really minimal, and you can go with any of those devices either and still be fine. Where things begin to change, we'll start with the ultra-wide lenses here. The ultra-wide on the Samsung Galaxy A53 does a better job of trying to match the main camera. You can straight tell that Samsung did a great job with matching these two cameras, the main lens and the ultra-wide. Nothing really far from what you get or you should expect. But on the Redmi Note 11 Pro side of things, it just feels like a different phone takes the ultra-wide photos when you compare to the main lens. I'll give it to Samsung for the ultra-wide in this category. When it comes to the front-facing camera images, you get a better detail from Samsung. And you can't help but notice that the Redmi Note 11 Pro does give you more smoothing into the face, making the photos look kind of plasticky. Yeah, I know some people might like that, but the skin tones on the other hand are more natural with the Samsung Galaxy A53. For instance, the blacks are more true to life and do not tend to have this color shift, which is noticeable on the Redmi Note 11 Pro. Videos in terms of the numbers would be better with the Galaxy A53, as you can shoot at 4K 30 FPS, while the Redmi here maxes out at 1080p. For the videos from the rear camera, they are really similar, and Redmi actually does a slightly better job at 1080p, giving you more details and a slightly better white balance. But when you switch things up to record at 4K from the Samsung, you then get the better video from the A53. Now this applies to the front-facing video recordings too. 1080p is the max for the Redmi and 4K for the Galaxy A53. Videos are just okay for both the front-facing cameras. I just couldn't find myself to pick one over the other here. Samsung had the edge here, but the Redmi Note 11 Pro did great and gave me yet again the better color temperature than the more saturated video we got from the Samsung Galaxy A53. So far the cameras, the main sensors are really good and similar. Samsung takes the lead, at least when you record videos in 4K, and also the ultra-wide sensor and front-facing cameras goes to the Samsung Galaxy A53. For the batteries, both smartphones have a 5000 mAh battery, and at this point I think smartphones' batteries are really good that we do not have to dwell on them in terms of mid-range devices and their capacities. And that's because a one-time overnight charge would usually last you the whole day for these kind of smartphones. What one might want to talk about here would be the fact that you get a 67 watts charger out of the box with the Redmi Note 11 Pro, which takes less than 50 minutes to charge from 0 to 100. While the Samsung Galaxy A53 takes about 2 hours, that's an hour and 50 minutes with a 25 watt fast charger, which it does support, but you do not get any charger out of the box with the smartphone. For me, this category goes to the Redmi with a better charging system and battery in my test. For the same memory configuration, let's say a 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage, you'd get the Samsung Galaxy A53 for over $100 more. Generally, the better device is definitely the Galaxy A53, but for an additional $100 or over 50,000 naira, I honestly think the Redmi Note 11 Pro is the better value for money and actually does great in this comparison. I mean, you still retain the audio jack, a better build quality, a better display, you have a charger out of the box, and have a TPU case too. But Samsung gives you a better camera and performance at a cost. Make of this what you will while checking out my review of the Redmi Note 11 Pro here. Day.